Listen up. Have you ever watched the ocean swallow a mighty shipwreck, piece by piece without a sound? The waves don't roar or rage. They simply persist, flowing silently, powerfully, until the wreck is no more than a memory. That's the kind of strength we're unlocking today. The quiet, unyielding power that doesn't need to announce itself to make an impact. Silence, when wielded strategically, is more devastating than the loudest declaration. It's a force that breaks down pride, dismantles egos, and leaves a lasting impression that words could never achieve. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear, said Rumi, and he wasn't just talking about external noise. Silence sharpens perception. It amplifies your presence and makes your absence thunderous. In a world where people fill the air with explanations, justifications, and pleas for validation, silence becomes a rare and intoxicating power. When you choose silence, you refuse to play their game, and nothing unnerves a proud heart more than the realization that they no longer hold sway over you. Imagine a fortress standing tall on a cliff, its gates sealed, impenetrable. This fortress doesn't taunt or engage. It doesn't need to. Its very existence speaks of strength, resilience, and self-sufficiency. That's what your silence does. It's the fortress of your inner world, a boundary that says, "You don't have the power to shake me." Pride feeds on reactions. It thrives on knowing it's disrupted your peace or triggered your response. But when you deny it that satisfaction, you strip it of its sustenance, leaving it to wither in its own emptiness. The truth is, pride is fragile. It's like glass, shiny and seemingly unbreakable, but vulnerable to the smallest, most strategic tap. Silence is that tap. It disarms people, forcing them to confront their own behaviors and insecurities without the buffer of your reactions. When you step back and stop engaging, you create a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. They'll fill the silence with questions, doubts, and even regret. That's the moment their pride begins to crack, not because you tore it down, but because they did, trying to figure out why you're no longer within their reach. Think of a chess game. Inexperienced players rush to attack, revealing their strategies too soon. But the master player moves with deliberate restraint, letting their opponent exhaust themselves. Silence is your master move. It's the pause between your actions that forces them to overthink and overplay their hand. You're no longer the reactive piece on their board. You're the silent architect of your own strategy, unbothered by their attempts to gain control. Their pride, once towering, begins to falter under the weight of your calm detachment. This isn't about manipulation or revenge. It's about stepping into your own strength and refusing to let someone else's pride dictate your actions. When you stop explaining, justifying, or defending yourself, you reclaim your energy. You shift the power dynamic by showing that you don't need their approval or understanding to move forward. Silence isn't just the absence of words. It's the presence of self-respect, the embodiment of inner peace. It's saying without a single sound, "I am enough." Remember the allure of the moon. It doesn't scream for attention or chase the stars. It simply exists, quietly commanding the tides and captivating every gaze. That's the energy you're channeling when you choose silence. The proud may try to outshine you with their noise, their bravado, their need for validation. But your silence is the moonlight cutting through their chaos, undeniable and untouchable. They'll watch, wonder, and eventually feel the gravity of your presence, even when you're no longer there. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Pride blinds people to their flaws, their mistakes, their own humanity. But silence has a way of pulling back the veil. When you stop feeding their ego with explanations or attention, you force them to face themselves. In the void of your silence, they begin to see the cracks in their armor. They start questioning the very pride that once made them feel invincible. Think of fire and wind. Fire rages and consumes everything in its path, loud and aggressive. But wind moves unseen, silent, yet capable of shifting mountains of sand, carving canyons, and toppling even the fiercest flames. That's the power of silence. It's subtle but unstoppable, an invisible force that reshapes everything in its path. When someone's pride towers over you like a flame, your silence becomes the wind that extinguishes it, not with force, but with quiet persistence. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're weak or passive. On the contrary, it's an act of immense strength and discipline. It requires you to resist the urge to react, to prove, to defend. It's trusting that your worth doesn't diminish just because someone doesn't acknowledge it. Silence says, "I don't need to explain myself to anyone who doesn't already see my value." It's the ultimate Stoic power move, a declaration of independence from the noise of other people's pride and egos. In a world obsessed with being heard, silence is revolutionary. It's the ultimate rebellion against pride, a quiet storm that dismantles arrogance and rebuilds your sense of self. When you break their pride with the strength of your silence, you're not just winning a battle, you're mastering the art of peace. You're teaching them, and yourself, that true power isn't loud or aggressive. It's calm, steady, and unshakable. Step back, stay silent, and watch as the fortress of their pride crumbles under the weight of your unyielding strength. In that silence, you'll find your own liberation. The power of affirmation lies in its ability to transform your mindset, grounding you in strength and unshakable confidence. Here's your affirmation. My silence is my strength. I move with purpose and power. Write this in the comments to affirm your inner resilience and claim your control over the noise around you. If this message resonates with you, show your support by liking the video and subscribing to our channel. We pour our hearts into creating content that empowers and uplifts. Your encouragement keeps this mission alive and helps us reach others who need this guidance. Let's grow stronger together. Number 1. Become the storm they never saw coming. Have you ever watched a storm roll in on a quiet evening? The air grows still, the sky darkens, and you can feel the energy shift. The storm doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't roar into existence. It builds in silence, gathering strength until its power is undeniable. That's the kind of transformation you're about to embrace, becoming the storm they never saw coming, using your silence as the most devastating and undeniable force they'll ever encounter. Silence is the ultimate weapon of power, said Charles de Gaulle. It's not about avoiding confrontation. It's about channeling your energy into something far greater than words. Silence is the calm before the storm, the quiet assurance that you don't need to explain or justify yourself. When you pull back, when you stop feeding their ego with your reactions, you create an intensity they can't ignore. They'll sense the shift, feel the absence, and be left questioning what's changed. In that silence, you're not retreating. You're building momentum, preparing to rise in a way they never expected. Think about a tree in a hurricane. On the surface, it may look like it's breaking, swaying, even struggling. But deep beneath the soil, its roots are holding firm, digging deeper, becoming stronger. That's what your silence does. It strengthens you from within, grounding you in your worth and your resilience. While they expect you to react, to defend, to chase. You're simply holding your ground, letting the storm within you grow. Their pride, once towering and unshakable, will falter under the pressure of your quiet, steady power. Pride thrives on predictability. It relies on knowing how to trigger you, how to draw you into their world of noise and chaos. But when you step back and move in silence, you disrupt their control. Imagine a chessboard where every piece suddenly stops moving. Your opponent is left confused, uncertain, and grasping for strategies that no longer work. Your silence isn't passive. It's a deliberate strategy that forces them to confront the reality that they no longer dictate the rules. In the void of your words, they're left to face the storm of their own insecurity. This isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power. When you become the storm, you don't destroy to prove a point. You transform to rebuild yourself. A storm doesn't apologize for shaking the ground or clearing the skies. It simply moves with purpose, washing away what no longer serves and leaving space for something new to grow. Your silence is the same. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about showing that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on their pride. Instead, you're channeling it into your own growth, your own peace, your own unshakable strength. Picture a lion watching from the shadows. It doesn't roar before it acts. It observes. It waits. It chooses its moment. Your silence is that moment of quiet observation, the time where you gather yourself and decide what truly deserves your energy. Their pride may demand attention, but your silence declares that you are no longer bound to their games. You've become untouchable, and they'll feel the shift like thunder in the distance, a reminder that the storm is coming. As you step into this storm, remember this: silence isn't weakness. It's power under control. It's the strength to rise without warning, to let your actions speak louder than any words ever could. They won't see it coming because they underestimated the force of someone who no longer reacts, no longer chases, no longer plays by their rules. You are the storm that clears the path, the power that cannot be ignored. Say this affirmation with conviction: I am the storm they never saw coming. Write it in the comments below to anchor this truth in your mind and declare your transformation to the world. Every time you feel the urge to react, repeat this to yourself and feel the strength of your silence build within you. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to become the storm and break free from their prideful grasp, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We're working hard to create content that empowers, uplifts, and helps you step into your full potential. Let's grow together and create a community of unstoppable strength. Like the video, subscribe, and remember, your silence is your power. Number 2. Be the flame that refuses to burn for them. Have you ever watched a candle burn in an empty room? It gives its light and warmth freely, even when no one is there to see it, to appreciate it. Eventually the wax is gone, the flame extinguished, and the room remains indifferent, unchanged. This is what happens when you give your energy, your light, to those who don't value it. You burn yourself out for their comfort, while their pride grows colder, more unyielding. But here's the truth. You're not a candle. You're a flame, a fire, and you choose where and for whom you burn. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm, goes a timeless saying, and it holds a power that many of us forget. When you constantly give, explain, justify, and chase, you hand over your flame to those who will never fuel it in return. Their pride feeds on your sacrifices, on your efforts, and they grow stronger while you grow smaller. But when you step back, when you stop burning for those who take you for granted, something incredible happens. They feel the absence of your warmth, the darkness without your light, and in that void, their pride begins to fracture. Think of the sun. It burns fiercely and brilliantly, but it doesn't chase the planets. They orbit because of its sheer power, its gravity. You are the sun in your own life. The moment you stop chasing, you reclaim your strength. Your silence becomes your solar flare, a reminder that your energy is not for those who fail to recognize its value. By choosing where and when to shine, you shift the entire dynamic. Their pride, which once thrived on your relentless giving, now falters in the shadow of your withdrawal. Imagine you're a fireplace in a grand room. When people gather around, they bask in your warmth, they admire your glow. But if they walk away and leave the room empty, does the fire continue to burn just for their return? Number. The flames die down, conserving their energy for when the moment is right again. Your silence is that pause. It's the moment you say, "I don't need to burn for you anymore." In that stillness, they'll feel the absence of your fire, and it will force them to confront the pride that led them to take your warmth for granted. This isn't about extinguishing your light, it's about protecting it. When you refuse to burn for those who don't deserve it, you're not being cruel or vindictive, you're being wise. You're choosing to preserve your energy, to keep your fire alive for the places and people who truly value it. Just as a wildfire doesn't waste its power on barren soil, you must not waste yours on prideful hearts that won't nurture the flame in return. Think of a lighthouse standing steadfast on the shore. It doesn't light up for every ship that passes by, and it doesn't dim its beam just because someone doesn't notice its brilliance. It shines because it's built to guide, to warn, to protect, but only for those who are looking, those who are willing to see its value. You are that lighthouse. Your light is constant, but it's not for everyone, and when you stop shining for those who take it for granted, they'll be lost in the dark, searching for the radiance they ignored. Choosing not to burn for others doesn't mean you're unkind or selfish. It means you're honoring your own worth. It's about stepping back and letting them feel the chill of their pride without your warmth to soften it. When you stop feeding their ego with your energy, you create a silence that speaks louder than words. It says, "I am no longer here to keep you comfortable." And that message, delivered through your actions, breaks their pride more effectively than any confrontation ever could. As you step into this mindset, remember this: your fire is sacred. Not everyone deserves its light, and that's okay. You have the power to choose who gets to feel your warmth and who must face the cold. And in that choice lies your freedom, your strength, and your peace. Let this affirmation guide you. I am the flame, and I burn only for those who value my light. Write this in the comments below as a declaration of your newfound strength. Let the world know you're done burning yourself out for the pride of others. If this message resonated with you, if you feel the power of this lesson, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We work tirelessly to create content that uplifts and transforms lives. Join our community, share this journey, and let's keep building a world where we honor our light, our strength, and our silence. You are the flame, and your fire deserves respect. Number 3. Wear your silence like a crown. Have you ever noticed the way a crown sits silently atop a ruler's head? It doesn't speak, it doesn't move, but its presence commands attention. The crown symbolizes authority, strength, and unshakable self-worth. That's exactly how your silence should be. A crown you wear, not out of spite or to diminish others, but to remind the world of your inherent power. Your silence isn't empty. It's a proclamation of sovereignty over your own life, a signal that your worth needs no defense and no explanation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best answer to anger is silence." When you wear your silence like a crown, you're not reacting to the chaos around you. Instead, you're standing tall, letting your restraint speak louder than words ever could. Prideful people thrive on the noise, on the back and forth, the explanations, the debates. But when you choose silence, you refuse to step onto their battlefield. Instead, you rise above it, untouchable and serene. Picture an eagle soaring high above a storm. The storm rages below, with thunder crashing and lightning flashing, but the eagle doesn't flap frantically or dive into the chaos. It glides, unbothered, carried by winds only it can navigate. That's what wearing your silence like a crown looks like. It's knowing you don't have to descend into the storm to prove you can survive it. Your silence is your altitude. It keeps you above the fray, unshaken and in control. Pride crumbles when it can't provoke. When someone tries to stir conflict or feed their ego by drawing you into their drama, and you respond with silence, they're left holding their own pride like a weight they can no longer carry. Your silence is their mirror, reflecting back every insecurity and doubt they try to mask. And just like a crown doesn't tilt to acknowledge every passerby, your silence doesn't bend to meet their need for validation. Silence isn't passivity, it's presence. When you choose not to explain or justify, you're declaring, "I am enough." Think of a fortress with its gates firmly closed. It doesn't need to shout its strength or justify why it stands tall. Its very existence is its power. Similarly, when you hold your silence, you're saying, "I respect myself too much to let anyone's pride dictate my energy." You're protecting your peace like the priceless treasure it is. Imagine an ancient tree in the middle of a bustling city. People come and go, storms may rage, and seasons may change, but the tree stands firm, rooted deeply in the earth. Your silence is that tree. While others rush to react, to seek attention, to defend themselves, you remain rooted in your self-respect. You're not ignoring them, you're prioritizing yourself. And in that strength, they'll feel the weight of their own pride falling apart. The beauty of wearing your silence like a crown is that it doesn't just shift the dynamic, it liberates you. You stop being a prisoner to others' expectations, to their need for a reaction or explanation. You become untouchable. They can't shake you, can't provoke you, can't figure you out. And that's when they start to realize your silence is their undoing, and your peace is your ultimate power move. As you step into this space of silence, remind yourself that your worth isn't something you need to shout about. It's in how you carry yourself, how you protect your boundaries, and how you refuse to let anyone shake your sense of self. You're not avoiding conflict, you're rising above it. Your silence says more than words ever could. I value my peace, and nothing can take that from me. End every interaction with this mindset. I am the crown, steady and unshaken. Let this be your mantra, your guiding affirmation when you're tempted to react or explain yourself to someone who doesn't deserve that energy. Write this affirmation in the comments. I am the crown, steady and unshaken. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We're working tirelessly to bring you lessons that empower, uplift, and guide you toward becoming the best version of yourself. Together, we're building a community of strength and resilience. Wear your silence with pride and let the world adjust to the power of your presence. Number 4, anchor yourself in unshakable peace. Have you ever seen a mountain bow to the wind? No matter how fierce the storm, how violent the gusts, the mountain stands unshaken, a silent testament to resilience. That's the essence of anchoring yourself in unshakable peace. It's the quiet power of remaining calm and steady when others try to disrupt your equilibrium. In a world driven by noise, where pride often clashes with ego, your silence and serenity become your greatest weapons, a power move that commands respect without ever raising your voice. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the core of unshakable peace, the ability to detach from the chaos others try to create and hold firm in your own calm. When someone's pride seeks to provoke, your peace becomes a mirror reflecting their insecurities back at them. It's not avoidance, it's mastery, the mastery of yourself and the boundaries you've built. Picture a serene lake at dawn. The surface is smooth as glass, reflecting the colors of the rising sun. Now imagine someone throwing a stone into it. The ripples spread, but only for a moment. Soon, the water returns to its stillness, undisturbed by the intrusion. That lake is your mind when anchored in peace. Prideful people may hurl their stones, words, actions, provocations. But when your inner calm is steady, those ripples fade quickly, leaving your serenity intact. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending not to feel. It's about choosing where your energy goes and refusing to give your peace away to someone else's chaos. Imagine holding a priceless vase in your hands. Would you let just anyone handle it carelessly? Of course not. Your peace is that vase, precious, irreplaceable, and worthy of fierce protection. When you anchor yourself in unshakable peace, you decide who gets close and who doesn't. You reclaim control of your inner world. Silence, in its essence, is power. It's the storm that never comes, leaving people disarmed and uncertain. When you stay silent, pride has no foothold to climb. They expect a reaction, a fight, a validation of their ego, but your silence leaves them questioning their own actions. And in that questioning, their pride begins to falter. Like waves crashing against a cliff, they may try again and again, but the cliff, your peace, remains unmoved. Think of a candle burning in a room where the air is still. The flame flickers gently, undisturbed by external forces. Now imagine someone trying to blow it out, only to find that their efforts are met with a steady glow. That's your inner peace when you refuse to let others' prideful attempts extinguish your light. The flame is yours to protect, and when it burns steadily, it illuminates not only your path, but also the shadows in their ego. Anchoring yourself in unshakable peace isn't a passive act. It's an active choice to rise above. It's knowing that your worth isn't tied to their approval or attention. It's walking away from battles that don't serve you and standing firm in the knowledge that silence speaks louder than any argument. When you master this, you become untouchable, not because you've shut out the world, but because you've built an unshakable foundation within. As you practice this, you'll notice something incredible. The less you react, the more you observe. You begin to see through their pride, their bravado, and realize how fragile it really is. And when they see they can't shake you, their power over you dissolves. They're left standing in the rubble of their own arrogance, while you remain a fortress of calm. This isn't about revenge, it's about freedom. Freedom from their hold on your emotions and your energy. Here's your affirmation. I am calm, steady, and unshaken. Say it out loud, feel its truth in your heart, and let it guide your actions. Every time you're tempted to react, every time someone's pride tries to pull you into their storm, Repeat this to yourself. I am calm, steady, and unshaken. Write it in the comments below as a commitment to your inner peace. If this message resonates with you, if it inspires you to anchor yourself in your own power, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your engagement fuels our mission to create more life-changing lessons like this, reaching those who need it most. Together, let's build a community of strength, silence, and unstoppable resilience. Remember, your peace is your power. Guard it fiercely and watch the world transform around you. Number 5. Transform their pride into longing. Have you ever noticed how silence can linger, haunting the space where words once echoed? It's like the faint scent of a candle that has just been snuffed out. Subtle, undeniable, unforgettable. That's the power of absence. The less you give, the more they want. The quieter you become, the louder your absence resounds in their mind. Silence isn't just an act, it's a transformation. It turns their pride into longing, their certainty into doubt, and their ego into a desperate question. What happened? As Leonardo da Vinci said, nothing strengthens authority so much as silence. But this isn't about dominance or revenge. It's about creating a shift, a vacuum where their pride once stood firm. Pride thrives on attention, on validation, on knowing they still occupy your thoughts. When you withdraw that energy, you break the cycle. Their pride, so certain of your presence, begins to falter in the emptiness. And in that emptiness, longing takes root. Imagine a glass of water slowly evaporating in the heat of the sun. At first, the glass seems full and steady, but as the sun continues to shine, the water diminishes until only an empty glass remains. That's what your silence does to their pride. It evaporates their confidence, leaving behind a hollow longing that no one but you can fill. It's not about cruelty. It's about clarity. Your silence gives them the space to recognize what they lost, a realization that their pride had blinded them to. Think about how powerful scarcity is in human nature. Luxury brands thrive on this principle. People clamor for what they can't easily have. The same principle applies to your energy and attention. When you're always available, always explaining, always reaching out, they start to take you for granted. But when you pull back, when you stop making yourself so accessible, you become the rare, valuable presence they yearn for. Their pride begins to crack under the weight of longing, and that's when they start to question everything they thought they knew. This isn't about manipulating someone into chasing you. It's about reclaiming your worth. Silence shifts the focus back to you, where it always should have been. It's a reminder to yourself and to them that your time, your energy, and your presence are privileges, not guarantees. When their pride meets the stillness of your absence, it's forced to grapple with itself. And in that struggle, longing emerges, not because you've done anything, but because you've chosen to stop doing everything. Picture a powerful magnet losing its pull. At first, they don't notice. They're too busy being pulled in other directions. But as the magnetic force weakens, they feel the emptiness, the lack of attraction. That's your silence. It doesn't push or pull. It simply exists, quietly reminding them of the power they lost when you stepped back. Suddenly, they realize it wasn't their pride holding things together. It was your energy, your attention, your presence. As the Stoics teach, control what you can and let go of the rest. You can't force someone to value you, but you can step back and let them feel the difference when you're no longer there. Silence transforms their pride into longing, not because you demanded their attention, but because you stopped offering yours so freely. It's not about games, it's about growth. Yours, not theirs. It's about breaking free from the grip of someone else's ego and returning to the peace of your own center. Let your silence be a gentle but powerful statement. I will no longer fight for what doesn't see my value. With every moment you choose not to engage, you're creating a void that their pride can't fill. And as longing grows, so does your strength, your clarity, your confidence in knowing that you don't need their validation to thrive. Here's your affirmation. My silence is my strength, and my absence is unforgettable. Write this in the comments below to claim your power and remind yourself of your worth. Every time you're tempted to break the silence, come back to this affirmation and remember why you started. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to transform their pride into longing and reclaim your energy, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your encouragement helps us continue creating life-changing lessons that inspire and empower. Together, we're building a community rooted in strength, growth, and self-respect. Let's rise in silence and shine in strength. Number 6. Build your own universe. While they watch. Have you ever watched a seed grow into a towering tree, silently and without fanfare? It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't need anyone's permission. It simply roots itself in the earth, draws strength from within, and stretches toward the sky. That's the energy you're about to channel as you build your own universe while they watch. Without a single word, without chasing, explaining, or justifying, you'll create a life so fulfilling, so untouchable, that their pride will crumble in the face of your quiet transformation. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Instead of wasting your energy trying to change their perspective, prove your worth, or challenge their ego, you will redirect all that power inward. You're not competing with them. You're building something they can never touch, your own universe. A universe that reflects your dreams, your growth, and your unstoppable spirit. Picture this: a potter at a wheel, shaping clay into something beautiful. The clay doesn't resist, it doesn't argue or question. It simply takes form in the potter's hands, becoming something that can hold, carry, or inspire. You are both the potter and the clay. Every moment of silence, every ounce of energy you pull back from them, is another turn of the wheel. While they're caught up in their pride, you're creating something extraordinary, your own world, one that they can only watch from the sidelines. Their pride, loud and demanding, thrives on your attention. It wants your reactions, your explanations, your validation. But when you stop feeding it, something remarkable happens. They are left with nothing but the hollow echoes of their own ego. Meanwhile, you're pouring all that once scattered energy into building a life that doesn't just survive their absence, it thrives in it. Your silence becomes the scaffolding of your success, a framework for a universe that grows brighter and stronger with every passing day. Think of a lighthouse standing tall on a rocky shore. It doesn't chase the ships it guides. It doesn't beg the sea for recognition. It simply shines, steadfast and unyielding. That's the essence of building your universe while they watch. You're the lighthouse, and your silence is the light cutting through their storm of pride. They can see you, unshaken, standing tall. They'll wonder what's happening in your world, but they won't have the privilege of knowing. When you build your universe, you're not just proving something to them, you're proving something to yourself. Every step you take, every boundary you reinforce, every dream you bring to life is a testament to your strength. Their pride might have tried to define you, but your silence says, "I define myself." While they're consumed by their need to be seen, You're creating a life that doesn't just demand attention, it commands respect. Imagine an artist working in solitude, creating a masterpiece behind closed doors. The world might not see the process, but when the curtains are drawn back, the unveiling leaves everyone breathless. That's the power of your silence and your focus. While they're too distracted by their ego to notice, you're crafting something remarkable. And when they finally see it, their pride will pale in comparison to the beauty of what you've built. This isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about showing yourself that you are capable of thriving without their validation, of becoming something they could never control. Your universe isn't just a place of success. It's a sanctuary of peace, joy, and self-respect. Every day you choose silence over reaction, creation over confrontation. You're adding another star to your galaxy. As you grow, they'll watch, they'll wonder, they'll question how you managed to rise so far, so high, without needing them. And in that silence, they'll find their answer. You didn't need them at all. You built this universe on your own terms, and now it stands as a testament to the strength of your silence. So, here's your affirmation. I am building a universe they can only watch. Write this in the comments as your declaration. Let it remind you that your power lies not in their pride, but in your progress. Let them see your light, but never hand them the map to your world. If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to reclaim your energy and create something incredible, show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We work tirelessly to bring you lessons that transform your life and unlock your inner power. Let's keep building together, one silent, unshakable step at a time. Number 7. Let silence be the song of your soul. Have you ever stood in a vast, empty hall and heard your own footsteps echo endlessly? The silence fills the space, wrapping around you like a cloak, reminding you that stillness has its own presence. That's the kind of silence we're talking about here, not an absence of sound, but a presence so powerful that it becomes the song of your soul. Silence isn't weakness. It's your declaration of strength, an unspoken anthem that echoes louder than any words ever could. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." In the same way, your silence speaks volumes about your self-respect, your worth, and your unshakable confidence. Prideful people expect noise. They expect explanations, arguments, and desperate attempts to regain their approval. But when you respond with silence, you disarm them. You rob them of the validation their ego craves and force them to face the weight of your absence. Your silence becomes the loudest song they've ever heard, a melody that keeps them up at night, wondering, questioning, regretting. Imagine a river carving through a canyon. It doesn't shout, argue, or announce its presence. It flows quietly, steadily, and with an undeniable force that reshapes everything in its path. That's what your silence does. It moves through their pride like water, dismantling their walls without ever making a sound. While they puff themselves up with bravado, your silence becomes the steady rhythm that exposes the emptiness beneath their pride. Pride thrives on noise, but it crumbles under the weight of silence. Think of an empty vase on a pedestal. It looks grand and solid, but one silent nudge, one unseen movement, and it topples, shattering into pieces. That's what your silence does. It's the gentle nudge that exposes how fragile their pride truly is. You don't need to shout or argue. Your silence is enough to let them feel the consequences of their arrogance. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're wise enough to understand that not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult deserves a response, and not every ego is worth entertaining. Your silence says, I don't owe you my energy, my words, or my peace. It's not an act of retreat, but a deliberate choice to let your soul speak in a language they can't control. While they scramble to understand, your silence becomes the soundtrack of their uncertainty, a song they can't ignore. Silence isn't just an absence, it's a declaration. It says, I'm enough without your validation. I'm whole without your approval. I won't shrink to fit the